Clapperboard 90,000 fans held candles during Man in the Mirror. What Michael Jackson did next left everyone silent. Mike, a deeply emotional true story about the power of music, unity, and humanity. Intro scene. The stadium lights fade. The night was electric. It was July 16, 1988, Wembley Stadium, London. The air vibrated with excitement. 90,000 fans had filled the massive arena, their cheers echoing like waves crashing against the walls of sound. 1,000 flashbulbs flickered, making the night sky shimmer. The king of pop, Michael Jackson, was about to perform one of his most powerful songs, Man in the Mirror. But no one knew that this performance would become one of the most emotional moments in live music history. Scene 1. Backstage before the show. Michael sat quietly in his dressing room, surrounded by mirrors. He looked at his reflection, the sequined jacket hanging loosely on his shoulders. He had just come off a string of shows on the Bad World Tour, every performance sold out. But tonight felt different. There was something in the air, something heavy, spiritual, almost sacred. His manager, Frank DeLeo, peeked in. 5 minutes, Mike. Michael nodded but didn't speak. He closed his eyes and whispered to himself. Greater than, tonight, I want them to feel love. I want to remind them we can all make a change, starting from within. He stood up, touched the mirror one last time, and smiled softly. Scene 2. The crowd awaits. Outside, Wembley Stadium was roaring. Fans of every age, children, parents, elderly couples, held posters, glow sticks, and flags. The energy was pure joy. As the lights dimmed, a hush fell over the massive crowd. Suddenly, the screen lit up with the words, "The Man in the Mirror." A piano note echoed, then another. The melody began, soft, soulful, reflective. And the audience erupted. Scene 3. The first notes. Michael walked onto the stage slowly, his silhouette outlined by blue light. He wore his signature white shirt and black slacks, his hair slightly tousled. He raised his hand, and instantly, the entire stadium fell silent. He began to sing, "Greater than, I'm gonna make a change. For once in my life." The voice was raw, emotional, not just performance, but confession. The song flowed like a sermon. Each line seemed to pierce the hearts of everyone listening. Scene 4. The candle moment begins. Midway through the song, as the bridge approached, something magical happened. A small group of fans near the front began to lift candles into the air, small flickers of light in the vast darkness of the stadium. Then another section joined, and another. Within moments, 90,000 people were holding candles, real flames glowing in the cool night air. The stadium looked like a sea of stars. Michael looked out, and froze. He stopped singing for a brief moment, visibly emotional. Tears filled his eyes. The band kept playing softly. The background singers looked at him, unsure. But Michael raised his hand gently to signal, "Keep going." Then, he took a deep breath, and whispered into the mic. "Greater than, look at this, look at you all, this is love." The audience roared in response, but it wasn't the usual scream of excitement, it was something deeper. People were crying, hugging strangers, holding candles higher. Scene 5. Michael's voice trembles. He resumed the song, but his voice cracked. He wasn't just performing now, he was praying. Greater than, if you wanna make the world a better place. Take a look at yourself, and then make a change. His knees buckled slightly, he dropped to the stage floor, clutching the microphone, his head bowed. The lights dimmed except for one soft white beam on him. It was no longer a concert, it was a moment of unity, humanity, and faith. Scene 6. The silence. As the song ended, the band stopped playing. The audience went completely silent, 90,000 people, not a single sound. Michael stood still, breathing heavily. Then, softly, he spoke into the mic. Greater than, you have the power to change the world. Each and every one of you. It begins with the man, or the woman, in the mirror. The crowd still didn't cheer. They just listened. Many were wiping tears. Even the security guards were emotional. Scene 7. The message. He continued. Greater than, music is not just sound. It's the heartbeat of humanity. When you look at your brother, your sister, your neighbor, see yourself in them. Because we are all mirrors of one another. He looked out at the candles, glowing softly in the night. Greater than, keep those lights shining, not just here, but in your hearts. Don't let them go out when the music ends. He bowed his head, whispered, "Greater than, I love you all," and walked off stage. Scene 8. Backstage after the magic. Backstage, no one spoke for a moment. The entire team was stunned. Frank Valeo had tears in his eyes. The dancers were hugging. The background singers couldn't stop crying. Michael sat down, breathing deeply. His makeup had streaks from tears. A stagehand said softly, "Michael, that was more than a performance." He smiled faintly, his voice barely a whisper. "Greater than, that was God's work tonight." Scene 9. The aftermath, around the world. The next morning, newspapers around the world carried photos of the stadium filled with candles. Headlines read, "A Night of Light at Wembley. Michael Jackson unites the world in song." People described the concert as spiritual, transcendent, and unforgettable. For many fans, that performance changed how they saw the world and themselves. Charity groups reported surges in donations the following week. Thousands of fans wrote letters saying they were inspired to volunteer, to forgive, to reconcile with loved ones. Michael's message had reached deeper than any album or video, it had touched the human soul. Scene 10. Reflection years later. Years later, in an interview, a journalist asked one of the backup singers what happened that night. She said quietly, "Greater than, it was like the heavens opened. Michael wasn't singing to us, he was singing through us. Everyone felt it. That song didn't end when the concert did, it stayed inside people." Scene 11. Michael's journal entry. After his passing, one of Michael's notebooks contained a short handwritten note from that night. It read, "Greater than, Wembley, 90,000 lights. I felt their hearts. We are all mirrors, and tonight, we shined." Scene 12. The legacy lives on. Today, videos of that concert still circulate online. Fans watch with tears in their eyes, remembering the unity that night brought. Every candle that flickered in that stadium represented something bigger: hope, empathy, love, and change. Michael may have left the stage, but his message echoes forever. Greater than, if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. Even decades later, that moment reminds us that music has the power to heal, unite, and awaken our humanity. And somewhere, under the stars, those 90,000 candles are still burning, inside the hearts of all who were there that night. Musical note: the end. 90,000 fans held candles during Man in the Mirror. What Michael Jackson did next left everyone silent. Open book description. When Michael Jackson performed Man in the Mirror at Wembley Stadium in 1988, something extraordinary happened. 90,000 fans lit candles in the dark, and what followed was one of the most emotional moments in music history. This is the story of that night, the moment Michael turned a concert into a prayer. For humanity. Glowing star, watch till the end, it will move you deeply. Headphone voice. Emotional storytelling style. Clapperboard for YouTube narration, bedtime story inspiration. Bookmark hashtags. Hashtag Michael Jackson, hashtag Man in the Mirror, hashtag MJ Legacy, hashtag Inspiring Story, hashtag Music History, Wembley 1988, hashtag Emotional Story, hashtag Motivational, hashtag Pop Legend, hashtag MJ Fans, hashtag Wali Tales, hashtag True Story. Label tags. Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror, Wembley 1988, MJ Live, MJ Fans, MJ Story, Emotional Story, Motivational Story, Inspiring Story, Wali Tales, Humanity, Peace, Unity, Love, Music for Change, Pop Legend, King of Pop.